It's always a big treat to follow a world-famous speaker on a stage. So I want to set expectations. His bar is up here. My bar is not. So I want to make sure you're prepared. So we're going to talk about blockchain. When you hear that, what's the first thing you think about? Bitcoin. So cryptocurrency. Actually, blockchain was invented a long time before crypto came around. Blockchain came out in 1991 as a type of a way of verifying data. Then in 2009, Bitcoin came out, and that's when they adopted the blockchain platform as a way of administering their cryptocurrency. So blockchain and cryptocurrency are separate. Today, they're thought of almost as the same thing. So today, I want to talk about just the blockchain part, what it is, how it works, and how it can be used. So there are a lot of different uses of it. Typically today, you're in one camp or the other. One camp says it solves all the problems. The other camp says, I don't know what to do with it. So we're all trying to figure out how this works, how it can help us. So has anybody ever done this? It's climbed up on a chair or a small table and fell back.
Is that why you wanted us to move forward?
Yes, we're going to do this. No, we're not. So for this to work, you get up on a table, you get up on a platform, you fall back, somebody catches you, hopefully. What has to exist for this to work, for you not to crack your head on the floor? What do you have to have? Right. So you need trust. Blockchain is all about creating trust between two parties in a transaction. That's the whole point of blockchain, creating that trust in a new way. So if we think about some examples of that, let's say you want to buy a car. So you find a car you want to buy. That classic Ferrari you've been looking for is finally available. So you go to look at it. How do you know that the guy selling the car actually owns it? How does he know that you have the money to buy it? So today, how does that work? If you want to know that he owns it, you need to see the title. The administrator of that title is the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. If he wants to know that you have the money to buy it, he needs to see your bank account, whether you have the money or whether you have the financing lined up. In the world of blockchain, all that data can exist on a blockchain, and you can say to the seller, yes, I have that money. You don't have to tell them how much money you have. It can just show that, yes, I have enough to buy this car. And you can look in the blockchain and say, is he the owner of the car? He can share that information with you. Or he can share the history of that car. It's all determined by what you have ability to see, what the person wants you to see. So let's look at the sale of a house. You want to buy a house, you have some of the same concerns. Does the person own it? Do I have the money to buy it? But you may want to know, what's the history of that house? Was it ever in a fire? Who's owned it in the past? And I want to know that information while I'm in the purchasing process. I don't want to know it right now. I don't want to wait on a title agency to say, hey, there's a lien on that house. If you buy this, you're responsible for this other amount of money. Today, you have to sign a purchase agreement. You have to go to a bank, get financing in place before you can sign the purchase agreement, pay for a title search, and a week or so you find all these things out. Wouldn't it be great if the seller could tell you all that immediately through data that's on a blockchain and made available to you? What about transcripts? So we have students. They go to school here, they get their degree, they get a job. The company wants to know, what's their education? Maybe they want to know GPA, maybe they want to know the courses they took, definitely want to know the degree. Today, a graduate calls us, Case Western Reserve, and says, hey, I need an official set of transcripts. Can you send them to this employer? What if I, as a student, had control of that? and I could just say, send my transcripts, or a piece of the transcripts, or just the fact that I have a degree to an employer. And they trust that it's factual because it's on a blockchain that's verified. It takes us out of the process of sending transcripts out and gives the student who owns the data actual ownership of it, and it gives the employer assurance that it's true and factual. What about medical records? So who determines the validity of your medical records? I think it's your last doctor. It's not necessarily a doctor before him or the hospital or the insurance company. It's the last doctor. Did he lose records? Were they electronic? Were they paper? How were they stored? This really rang home with me. About 3 years ago, I changed doctors and had to move my medical records over to a new doctor. I was shocked to learn, this is 3 years ago, they were faxed. A file of medical records faxed to another doctor. So there's a fax machine in the other doctor's office just spitting out paper. What's your level of confidence that those records are complete and that they were secured? That there wasn't somebody who took my social off those records or looked at my medical records. So if we could store medical records on the blockchain, give you control of it, you switch doctors, you press a button, all your medical records are there. You're in a wellness program at your employer, and they want to know, are you a smoker? You can send them the verified data that says, I am not a smoker, or I am, or whatever. Gives you control of your data and how it's distributed, who it's shared with. Video. So today, video can be doctored pretty easily. You see a video online, you really don't know the source of it. It can be on somebody's site, but do you really know who created that video? Has it been doctored? Videos can be placed on a blockchain. Their authenticity can be verified. All great uses of the blockchain of creating trust between two parties. They can trust that the data that represents these transactions is accurate, is verified, and has not been doctored. So let's look at a block. And there's a block. So a block in a blockchain contains certain pieces of information. 3 pieces. So the first piece is a hash. So think of that as a fingerprint. It identifies that block. Typically 64 characters, numbers, letters, all that stuff. It identifies that block uniquely. Contains data. Data can be a picture, a file, a database. It can be anything that can be digitized is included on that block. And then it contains a hash, which is another fingerprint, to the prior block. That's what connects blocks together. So if you have that hash, it connects the chain to a prior block. And that is the foundation of a blockchain. This data is immutable. It's a big word that means it can't be deleted and it's permanent. So once it is on the blockchain, you know that it is accurate, it can't be changed, it hasn't been doctored, it hasn't been hacked. So let's look at another example of a house. So typically, you'd want to know the history of a house, the sales history, who bought it, when was it bought, things like that. So let's look at the first block in the chain. First block, what's the first piece of information it needs? A hash, right? Being the first block, the hash is 0. Now it contains data. Data might be when it was sold. This house sold in 2008 for $150,000 to Karen Smith. Because it is the first block, there is no hash to a prior block. So it's the beginning of a chain. Second block comes along. Hash 2. Keep in mind, this is just an example. In real life, it's 64 characters. In 2012, the house sold for $175,000 to Bernie Root. Third piece of information is the hash to the prior block. Not sure why it overlaid, but the hash down there is 0, so it points to the block before it, and that builds the chain. So I know these are sequences in this blockchain. Third block, number 3. In 2018, the house was bought for $260,000 by Betty White because she loves Cleveland. And that has a hash going back to the prior block. That builds the chain. Thing to keep in mind with this, there are no edits. This data cannot be edited. And this data cannot be deleted. If something is wrong, another block is added with the correct data. You cannot go back and change this. You cannot go back and edit it or delete it. Blockchains are distributed. So you have a bunch of computers that are connected that are working on this blockchain. So before a block can be added, you build a chain, as we just saw in the prior slide. So you build the connections of which blocks are related. But before they can get on the blockchain, there has to be a complex cryptographic puzzle solved. So there's a puzzle that has to be solved for that block to get on the chain. Now it's a complex formula up there that I play around with on the side. So these computers all try to solve that puzzle. When it's solved, the network has to verify that that solution is correct. That's called a proof of work. Once the network says that is correct and verifies it, then it's added to the block, or it's added to the chain. So this distributed collection of computers verifies everything, puts it on the blockchain. No centralized control. There is no bank, there is no organization, there is no company overseeing this. It's all done in a distributed environment. All these computers play a part in it, and no one has control over the whole thing. So think of what that does for hacking. The hacking target is all of these computers. So the effort to do that and being able to solve the cryptographic puzzle is right now it's impossible, hasn't been done yet. So from a security standpoint, hacking standpoint, this is a great model. If it's distributed, that also means there are no intermediaries. No lawyers. Think about that. Think about the contracts that lawyers administer. Think of the functions that lawyers serve. They build trust between two parties. It could be a contract, it could be whatever. They're in the middle of that. Title agencies, banks, any organization that builds trust between two parties is now going to be disrupted, or could be disrupted. Think of what this could do to all the industries that exist to build trust. So I want to leave you with 3 key points about blockchains. They build trust. That's why they exist. Two parties come together, they have to believe in what each other is saying, and you can do that with a distributed blockchain. The data is immutable. Once it's there, it cannot be changed, cannot be deleted, it can only be appended to. And it's distributed. There is no central target for a hacker. There is no one organization that controls the data. It's verified by the whole distributed network. And that's what maintains its verifiable information. That's a quick overview. Thank you very much. My time is up. Thank you.